So I'm quite interested to see what comes of this apparent Ebenezer Scrooge, A Christmas Carol, Ty West, Johnny Depp collaboration, and this would mark his first Hollywood film with a major studio since the Depp v. Heard allegations, trials, and aftermath that have essentially Depp in this sort of indie space where he's worked, I believe, a lot in Europe, and I think that a return is something that Depp has been interested in. He seemed to be very upset and sort of hurt, let's say, about the fact that Disney did not back him over the allegations, or at least did not cast him in films when the allegations came to light. And on the other hand, this would mark a return with a filmmaker in the horror genre that is very, very hot right now in Ty West, the director of X, Pearl, and Maxine. He has created a trilogy of entirely original and unique story elements and characters that doesn't happen very often nowadays. There is very few filmmakers who are interested in making original one-off films, never mind a original trilogy wholeheartedly from their own brain. So the fact that Johnny Depp is returning to Hollywood at all would be a major story in itself. The fact that Johnny Depp is returning with a IP that is very well known and has multiple adaptations in the bag already, but is also returning with an auteur, is very, very big news in my opinion, because that suggests to me that he is probably looking for something specific here. There is probably something about this project that has drawn him in, and I would actually suspect that in some sense you could probably run this film as a Oscar contender. There is a story here. If you're willing to sell it and potentially get a lot of negative backlash from certain spheres on the internet and potentially malign a lot of people as a company, you have a chance at getting a Best Actor nod for Johnny Depp with that story of not just a Hollywood return, but a Hollywood return from some of the worst things that a person can be accused of. Now, on the other hand, we should mention that Johnny Depp, as much as the public would like to believe, he's not been fully cleared of these things. He's been cleared in America. He has not been cleared in the UK, where the allegations are actually lodged. So, as I understand it, Johnny Depp was first accused in the UK by Amber Heard of being domestically abusive, both verbally and physically. Now, it was picked up by the Sun newspaper.
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now.
The Sun reported on 14 different incidents within the Heard-Depp relationship where apparently Depp had assaulted or become physically or verbally abusive in some way towards Heard on 14 separate occasions. Now, when that went to trial with Depp accusing the Sun of defamation, it was not cleared within the UK. It was actually found that 12 of the 14 incidents were substantially true, is what the court referred to it as. And so this does not mean he's guilty. This just means that in a civil libel case, what he was accusing the Sun of as being defamatory was actually found to be quite the opposite. It was found to be grossly accurate, you might say. However, in the US, when Amber Heard went and posted a op-ed, I believe in the Washington Post, and it was found that she was defamatory against him, that presents a very muddy picture where one country is saying, no, he's guilty. In the other country, they're saying, well, we're not actually judging at all whether or not he's guilty. What we are saying is that in the op-ed, she should not be talking about him. So whether or not he is guilty is sort of muddy, and I don't ever think you'll get a full and clear picture of that. But what is true is that it has maligned both Heard and Depp, I would say, where studios just don't seem very interested in touching either of them, because yes, in some respect, whatever that studio does with them will be a hot property. In the other sense, it becomes a hot property in terms of a pressure kettle where you have to keep a very tight lid on that. You have to make sure that whatever is being said in interviews could be construed as, oh, this is them talking about the relationship, or it's talking about this other thing. You do not want to be getting drawn into another defamatory trial. That is not something that any of the major studios want, and they have steered clear from both of them for that reason. I am very interested to see what comes of this. I think that it is something that appeals to me. I think that we haven't really gotten a top tier A Christmas Carol film since the Tim Burton and Jim Carrey film, and I'm interested to see what Ty West can put into this, because he is renowned within the horror sphere, and specifically within the original horror sphere. So it's interesting to me that he's gone in the IP and franchise direction. It would suggest that he has something specific that he wants to do with this property. I'm not against it. I do actually think it's worthwhile, because I think that this will almost definitely be a horror film specifically, and be a very updated and original and adult version. I think it is original in and of itself, although I would also say that the Tim Burton A Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey is pretty scary anyways. There's a lot here riding on this film. I think Ty West's ability to handle IP and franchise is something that will be under the microscope, but more so it is whether or not Johnny Depp is actually able to mount a comeback, and then if it's good enough, can Paramount actually position this as a Oscar film? I genuinely think that this is probably what the Oscars looks for, with that sort of controversial, like, I was out and look at my comeback story. It might be too much and too on the nose for them, and maybe they won't touch it for that reason, or maybe they will just give him a nomination and then leave it at that. It's very interesting to me. I will say that Johnny Depp, I don't think, has done a good film, or at least an acclaimed film, for nigh on 15 years at this point. So there is also that you have to like draw into question. It's not just like he's coming back after 5 years. He essentially is coming back in some respect from like 15 years of just kind of shit. That's a very hard path to trudge. I wouldn't bet against him in this respect, and it is something that I'm going to be very interested to see what comes of this. In some respect, it can only be good for Paramount, because this film is going to sell. Whether or not people go to watch this to hate watch it or to support Johnny Depp, that's a different question. But this will sell purely because of the shock factor of, oh my god, Johnny Depp is back, what's he going to do? And this will be billed as his return, as his comeback. It's a story that clearly 3 years ago and 5 years ago sold very well in the papers. So why wouldn't it sell now?